Hi, good morning. This is Chaplain William Johnson, the Reverend Dr. William Johnson, with our uh, morning meditation. I often pause there for some reason as if I don't know what I'm about to do. Thank you so much for joining us today as we share once more with our weekly inspirational and encouraging message to all of you, whether you are at work or whether you are with your family or whether you are on your commute. We want you to know that we appreciate you and appreciate you tuning in with us as we share these messages the way we do each week. Hopefully, they will inspire you. Hopefully, they will encourage you. Hopefully, there'll be a message. It will be a message that will spark you along the way. Maybe get your wheels to turning and get you to thinking about your life and your value. Because this is the one life we're given, as Mark Nepo reminds us. And we want to live these lives fully as best as we can. And so today, I am glad to share with you this message today, and really excited about today. As always, these messages speak home to me first, and then they offer us an opportunity to share with you. I want you to know, with beyond a shadow of a doubt, that we share these messages because we value you. You are loved, you are appreciated, and you are irreplaceable. That's a fact. And not because I said it, and not because others around us have given us all that value, but because our Creator, our God, has spoken that into the universe and said, these are the things that are important to me. And he or she, that person is important to me as well. Well, this morning's message is one that we've wrestled with a bit, and I'm a bit shy about it, anxious about it, because it includes a little bit of my poetry that I write from time to time. I want to talk about the breaking. This morning's message is entitled The Breaking. It is a reminder to us that everything in our world and everything in our lives come as a result of a transition or a transformation from one thing to another. The Polynesians, Mark Nepo, I credit him with bringing me back to this. The Polynesians, in their stories, their folklore about creation, had their creator or their deity, being their god, at a point named. I want to make sure I have the name right. I want to make sure I record that right. That personality is Taora, and I want to make sure I say it right. However, it was this story of how he felt like he was, when he awakened, that he was constricted. And so he broke out of that realm and created the universe and the world. And then from there, he felt constricted again and he broke out of that and created the moon and so on and so forth. Did it again, created the stars. And in such, the universe or the galaxy or the solar system of all that we know is believed that from the breaking out is where these things have begun to grow. And so I want to focus on that a little bit today by reminding you that some of the things that we are experiencing in life, sometimes we feel like we're in the holding pattern, sometimes we feel restricted, constricted, sometimes we feel overwhelmed by the weight of the world. All of that is now trying to break us in, break us out, break us up, or break us down into the next iteration or the next world that we will exist in. And sometimes we have to have examples from that. And so that we come to this world, we come into the world breaking out of the birth canal, and there we are entering into a new world. And at every stage in life, we find ourselves outgrowing what it is that we are experiencing or having some part of that with us, but growing more, and we break into or break out of what it is that was the past to break into something new. And so I want to share this with you. I think as we begin today, it's a little poem. I'm not going to read all of it. I'm too embarrassed to read all of it, but I do want to read it for you. And I hope that you will receive it in the spirit in which I'm giving it. It's entitled The Breaking. The breaking symbolizes transformation, the end of a thing and the beginning of a new one, the breaking of a heart, the breaking of a habit, The breaking in, the breaking out, the breaking up, and the breaking down, all a part of the breaking. The breaking can mean to interrupt or separate. It's the difference between love and hate, the distance between the good and the great, and the value measured between destiny and fate, all defined by the breaking. So yet now I celebrate the breaking of a new day, the breaking of a new way, the breaking that shows me that life is not always black and white, but it's sometimes gray. It's the breaking. I'll stop there. There's much more to that poem. But I think that in talking about the breaking, we have to take a moment to kind of assess our own lives and to realize that everything that seemed that it was good or things that were bad were not necessarily either or, but they were moving us to the place where we are now. Every relationship that went well, every relationship that failed, whether it be family relationships, whether it be love relationships, whether it be friendship relationships, all of those things have brought us and made us the persons that we are now. And we credit those, whether they hurt us, whether it worked for us, whether we fell on our faces, whether it was a career path, no matter what it has been or what it is, we have discovered and we will continue to discover the breaking. And the breaking does not necessarily mean like what we just experienced when we were children, when we broke a toy, or we had our hearts broken, or that we had our car break down. All those things are symbolic, however, of transformation and change that must happen. And so I want to encourage you that as you are breaking, don't think of it as a negative. Think of it as moving and transitioning or being transformed from one form of yourself to another form of yourself. And I hope that you will break for the better. I grew up in an era yeah, I am first generation hip hop. I grew up with hip hop music, and yep, I learned how to break dance. Can you believe that? And the kind of concept of break dancing was it was a different kind of dance that transformed the way we used to dance to a new way of dancing. There was a movie entitled Breaking, and they were doing all kind of moves that we had never seen before, or so we thought we would had never seen before, but they did them in a different combination, to a different rhythm, to a different song, to a different beat. Breaking was a part of changing a transformational era for people like me, young people like me at the time, who were trying to figure out where we would be in the world. What was our niche in the world? What did we have to offer to the world? And we brought the world hip hop music and the stories of a voiceless people who did not have any other opportunity to share their voice to the world. Voices of pain, voices of triumph, voices of celebration, voices of partying, voices of doing all the things that we wanted to do. I learned how to wop and cabbage patch and do all kinds of dances I never thought I'd ever be able to do, because we learned that from there it opened up something else. So here's what I want to say. The breaking is not a permanent condition. The breaking is a temporary condition to move us from one thing to another. I discovered that I probably would never buy new dishes for my home if I had not broken the old one. If my television didn't break down, I would not buy a new one. If my car didn't have some trouble, I would not look into buying a new vehicle. And so it is with life, that some things just plain old wear out and they have to break in order for us to move to something new. So I want to encourage you, run on with the something new. Let the breaking happen. You don't have to break it yourself, but if it breaks, it's okay. The natural progression of life means we break into one stage to another. There have been several iterations of me. I've broken into from young adulthood to adulthood, to being a father, to being a student, to being a graduate student, to having a career as a pastor, to breaking in, to breaking out, to going through divorce, to raising children who are now adults, and then to the place of now being a chaplain in a different career path that I had before for 25 years. There you discover that God does these things along the way with us as we go through the breaking. One of my favorite characters in the Bible is David. David's life is a masterpiece of mistakes and challenges, and yes, successes and triumphs. His life is one that is riddled with all the breaking that you could ever imagine. From the time that he is discovered by Samuel to the moment when he's anointed and then he's pushed back in being a shepherd boy, for the years that he spent there, and then being there having to do battle with Goliath in a field, a breaking moment that broke him from being a shepherd boy only to now being on the road to being a shepherd king, and being in that place where he is now going through the challenges of trying to find himself, to Bathsheba and his mistakes, to the raising of his children and watching them scatter around, to fighting on the battlefield and winning, and to discovering betrayal from his closest friends and allies. All of that is a part of the breaking. And here's what I know about the breaking. Because I have experienced it, I can identify with your experiencing breaking. And that makes us sensitive and empathetic to one another. The problem with the world is that most of us act and behave as if we've never gone through the breaking, and we are not sympathetic to other people who are going through it too. If we've never been sick, we may not understand what it means to be a patient in the hospital, needing someone to care for you, and how disempowering that is, and how we need others to advocate for us, for our health care and for our future. We may not know what it feels like to be abandoned by parents, but those who have know a little bit of something about what it means to know what it is to grow up alone and try to fend for yourself. Many people may not know what it means to go hungry in life and to try to figure out how to put food on the table and keep a roof over your head, and what kind of things you will be willing to do just to survive, until you've been there and you can identify with people who've gone through it. All of that is a part of the breaking. And most of us want to avoid the breaking, but I invite you to embrace it. Lean into it as much as it hurts. But when you get through it, you'll discover you're a better person, more empathetic, more empowered, because you know that you've survived the breaking and it moved you to a new place in life. Yes, there's a lot I could say today through this message, but I want to encourage you to not run away from the breaking, but to embrace it, because it's moving you from one place to another. It is the transporter for our lives, to move us to one stage of life, to another stage of life, to another stage of life. And if you go back and reflect over your life, you'll discover so many blessings that happened in your breaking. The breaking brings about the blessing. Yep, that's a nice word for today. The breaking brings about the blessing of the next thing. So go ahead and live in it, lean into it, and love it. You'll be surprised the person that you'll become, and you'll be better for it. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Remember, you're loved, you're appreciated, and you are irreplaceable. And as you go through these meditations, please feel free to share messages of encouragement or even questions you may have about these messages. We're open for that dialogue. You can send it to me directly at william.johnson@bjc.org, william.johnson@bjc.org. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Have a great week and have a great day.